Hi everyone, thanks for attending Tradefox Virtual Networking 2021 and welcome to these presentations on a future contracts for the Asia scrap market. My name is Terry Tree from Argus Media Singapore Group and I'm the Business Development Manager for Steel Scrap. Today we will have a look into the risk and exposure scrap sellers, buyers and end users of steel products made from ferrous scrap and how it can safeguard itself from volatile market. First, let's take a moment to read on the following slide on Argus Media's group notice. For the agenda today, firstly, I will give a short introduction on Argus and the products and services we provide. Then we will move on to look at major ASEAN scrap importers-exporters. This, we will have a rough view on how much the two biggest ferrous scrap exporters exporting to Asia and how much ASEAN biggest buyers are importing. From there, we will have estimations breakdown on the volume of inflow of ferrous scrap by container. Followed by, we will look at the container scrap price trends into Taiwan. This will be followed by hedging risk in the volatile market. We will see how much price fluctuate within a year and the risk buyers, sellers, and end users of finished steel products are facing. Next, we will examine the close correlations of US and Japan obsolete grade scrap price trend, and lastly, some concluding thoughts. About Argus. Argus is a leading energy and commodity price reporting agency providing data, news, and insights as well as conference and consulting services for the global crude oil products, LPG, natural gas, electricity, coal, emission, bioenergy, fertilizer, petrochemicals, metals, and transportation markets. Companies in 140 countries use Argus data to index physical trade and as benchmark in financial derivative markets, as well as for analysis and planning purposes. Now let's proceed with our topics today with major ASEAN scrap importers exporters. First, we'll look at the main exporters. US and Japan are the two main sources major ASEAN buyers are importing their ferrous scrap from. US exported about 15.4 million tons averagely between 2015 to 2020 globally. Of these, estimated about 33%, 5 million tons, were shipped to Asia. The sharp increase after 2016 were due to more usage in ASEAN, especially Vietnam. As for Japan, they exported averagely 8.2 million tons per year from 2015 to 2020. The export figure was quite constant and almost 100% stayed within Asia, as they mainly only use small vessels, barge, to ship, and the biggest volume was slightly more than 10,000 tons, which many Japanese suppliers were unable to have on a constant basis. Now we look at the three top importers. First, South Korea. South Korea is the biggest importer of ferrous scrap in North Asia with an average of about 5.8 million tons per year. The drop during 2020 was caused by COVID-19, which impacted South Korea's economy badly as steel demand fell sharply. Another top importer from North Asia is Taiwan. The average yearly import of scrap from 2015 to 2020 was at 3.4 million tons. Taiwanese importers were fairly consistent on their demand needed with not much fluctuation during the period quoted. Although Taiwan faces foreign labours at construction site due to COVID-19, rebar demand seems to be still strong this year. Next, the biggest buyers within ASEAN is Vietnam. The steel sector developments within Vietnam the last few years can be seen by the ferrous scrap imported. The figure has been rising on a yearly basis and trends looks to continue forward if not for COVID-19. Import in 2021 will likely drop as Vietnam went through prolonged lockdown during third quarter of 2021. Now after looking at the annual imports, we will have a breakdown into containerized scrap from bulk. For South Korea, of a total of 5.8 million annual imports, Japanese scrap accounts for 62%, which is around 3.6 million. And US scrap around 14%, which is around 830,000. It is estimated that 10% of US scrap that went into South Korea is via container. Of the remaining 1.37 million tons from other origins, around 10% was also shipped in via containers. So estimated figures yearly in containerized scrap into South Korea is around 200,000 tons. As for Vietnam, average 4.4 million tons per year. Japan accounts for 46%, which is around 2 million, and US 17%, which is around 760,000. Estimated around 65% or close to 500,000 tons of US scrap shipped via container into Vietnam. Remainder from other origins, around 1.64 million tons, about 50%, 820,000 tons, shipped to Vietnam via container as well. The estimated total annually is around 1.3 million tons of scrap being shipped via container into Vietnam. Now we look into Taiwan. Annual imports about 3.4 million tons of ferrous scrap, and US is the biggest exporter to them, has a 45.5%, around 1.6 million tons, and Japan at 21.7%, around 250,000 tons. For US, around 90% or 1.44 million tons of scrap that went into Taiwan is by container. Balance of ferrous scrap from other origins, around 80%, arrive in Taiwan via container as well. The total estimated going into Taiwan is around 2.3 million tons in containers. Conclusion: the top 3 ASEAN importing countries take in around 3.8 million tons of containerized scrap on a yearly basis. This is why box scrap stay important into the future. What we are looking at earlier on is just the 3 main importers of ferrous scrap in Asia, which there is more countries that is buying scrap on bulk and containerized scraps as well. So, but the thing is that for bulk, not all ports in the world can handle big bulk shipments. Every port has its own depths, which not all vessels, especially big one, can enter. Not all ports have the equipment to discharge bulk shipment, because once your discharging is not fast enough, additional costs will be involved for discharging, the slow discharging of the cargo. Not all buyers willing to risk with big bulk shipment, because for a bulk minimum tonnage is around 20 over to 40,000 tons or more than that slightly. So the cash money involved is much bigger. Not all sellers able to provide cargoes in bulk shipment. Yes, there is a lot of suppliers in the world that don't have the ability to ship cargoes via bulk, which is why containerized scrap will remain an important factors in the supply chain. Scrap by containers open up more sources for buyers, because buyers can buy from almost any part of the world that can be shipped by containers. Containerized scrap allows shipment of small tonnages. We can range from few hundred tons to a few thousand tons. Containers can access to most ports in the world, which make it easy for delivery. Now we look at price volatilities on the rise. The graph on the left is a price, concluded price between 2017 to 2021. The graph on the right will show you the fluctuations from 2017 to 2021. During 2017, the highest point for imported scrap into Taiwan was at $345 per ton, with the lowest at $255 per ton. During 2018, the highest point was at $367, with the lowest point at $274 per ton. And 2019, highest point was at $308 per ton, with the lowest at $222 per ton. So from 2017 to 2019, price fluctuated around plus minus around $100 for that year. But in 2020, the lowest point for containerized scrap was at 198, and with the highest point at 445 per ton. In 2020, we see a fluctuations of around $247 for that year, which compared to previous year is about 150% more in terms of fluctuations. And in 2021 alone, the highest point is at 480, which is the highest point that containerized scrap has recorded since August start collecting the price, and with the lowest at $350 per ton. As you can see, price of scrap have increased from the lowest around $200 per ton to $350 per ton in 2021. This alone is already up by $150 per ton. It's around 75% increase. Real-life impact of price volatility. Long products production costs have risen 100%, resulting in a huge increase in finished steel prices. Huge impact on the construction sector. Additional costs on materials, and this has because of all the volatility in the market, prices has went up so much. Additional cost is being added to projects that is ongoing. Second point, projects were known to stop due to price escalation. We have known projects has stopped because of price. The construction company were not able to actually cope with the initial price that they have bidded for the projects after finished steel prices have went up so much. And some of them actually stopped their project waiting for prices to actually cool down. There has been no bidders for infrastructure projects rolled out by governments due to the risk of volatile steel prices. Projects were known with no bidders because construction companies were unable to work out whether the price being rolled out by governments for the certain projects, were they able to take the risk, or prices will move further up in the near future, which is one thing that stopped them from bidding for any projects. Higher scrap, steel, and construction costs fed through to higher inflation. Now, all these risks can be managed. This now can be managed via futures. LME launched of first ASEAN containerized ferrous scrap contract on 19 July 2021. Cash settled against August money average Taiwanese containerized HMS 12-20-80-20 CFR index. With these contracts, mills will be able to take on long-term contract with end users and stockists by hedging their risks. Scrap suppliers and buyers will be able to work on more stable and regular supplies as risks are taken care of. End users will be able to lock in profit on projects as ferrous scrap were mainly used for rebar production, which is vital for construction. And this will cause less disruption due to miscalculation on costs. Next slide, we'll look at the Thai correlation spread with benefits to region. As Japan and US is the biggest exporter of scrap into the ASEAN market, prices between them on the correlations is at a high of 96%. As US and Japanese suppliers are selling to the same group of buyers, price will normally follow closely each other. Both scrap prices might see a difference in value, but the ups and down trends tends to follow closely against each other as they were selling to the same group of buyers in the region. It makes logical sense for market players who also buy Japanese scrap to be able to hedge their risk using LME Taiwanese scrap contract. Big part of pie. US and Japan export around 69% of ferrous scrap into the three main importers in Asia. As this can see from the figures earlier, South Korea imports 76% of ferrous scrap from US and Japan over the past 6 years. The price from these origins are closely related and can be hedged using the contract. Import by origins, now we look at Taiwan. Taiwan imported around 67% of scrap from US and Japan over the last 6 years. And for Vietnam, over the last 6 years, 64% of scrap was imported from US and Japan. Concluding thoughts. Containerized scrap will continue to play a vital role on the global stage. The Taiwanese import price is a barometer for regional scrap prices, which was why it was chosen by the LME as a benchmark for prices into Asia on containerized scrap. Price volatility is increasing, driven by rising container freight costs, COVID disruption and volatilities in China domestic rebar market. Fourth point, the LME Taiwanese containerized HMS12 CFR futures will provide sellers, buyers, and end users a tool to hedge price risk. The contract has wide applications due to Taiwan scrap prices correlations with other markets. More physical trades could be seen happening as parties could lock their profit margin. Thanks for listening to the presentations and great day ahead. Now we are open for questions.
Outstanding and very informative, Terry. I took several snaps of that, and luckily I have a copy of this on my computer. This is amazing. I'm going to turn this over for you to take questions now. Let me just unshare my screen. Anybody that has questions, please just feel free to unmute your mic. You can speak here freely, and if you're unable to speak at the moment, you can also drop the questions in the chat, and we will and Terry will be able to respond to those for you.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry, let me just. So Terry, I was really amazed, and I've had my eye off the details of the market a little bit, honestly. Before I was a trader in this industry, I've been in the industry for 25 years, but I was in import and export of steel scrap for about 6 years. And we were just starting to meet people in Vietnam at the time. That was back in 2010, I believe it was, 2009, 2010. We're starting to expand our business in that market. But I mean, the volumes were nothing like it is today. What's going on in Vietnam that's driving all this, the purchasing of scrap nowadays?
I think, okay, first point, I believe Vietnam has invested a lot in infrastructure in the last few years. So I think a lot of mills is being set up as well, domestically, local mills, as well as foreign investment as well. I think you can see there's Japanese joint venture there in Vietnam. There's Taiwanese, the Formosa as well. And like Hoi Fat, or these are some big local mills as well. So their consumptions of scrap have increased over the years, with government spending money on infrastructures and projects being taken up. I mean, you can see from there. So this is the main reason why scrap demand has picked up. And traditionally, I think they have their import is very, very close to the biggest importer in North Asia, like South Korea.
Mm. Okay.
So yeah, and Vietnam is still developing. So I mean, it'll be interesting to actually see how much they can, how much scrap they can import on a yearly basis from now as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, South Korea has a huge shipbuilding industry. It's always been a leader, really. Especially back when I was in the game, and also Taiwan. I'm quite surprised to see these numbers out of Taiwan as well. So it's very interesting to see how things have changed. This contract, the futures contract that you guys have released, Is that on the Taiwan CFR price and Vietnam as well, or is it what were the markets where that's going to be, the index is going to be based?
Okay, the index is based on containerized scrap HMS 8020, basically it's obsolete scrap, and this price is based mainly on the US containerized scrap, and because Taiwanese has a long-standing relationship with the US supplier,
Right.
so that's why and they depend. I think they buy a lot from the US as well. For Asia, for containerized scraps that come into Asia, I would say that prices depending on areas, it won't be much of a difference because there will be slightly some shipping differences. Like example, 8020 into Taiwan normally is about $5 more to Vietnam. But
Okay.
depending on the north or the south, because the north side sometimes because of discharge issue, they might be include more in some LC issue as well, which some Vietnamese new do practice about 30 days, 60 days, 90 days LC, which might involve a certain cost into. But normally, if you talk about normal price differential, is about $5 between the two countries.
So
Yeah.
you can hedge your risk in the Vietnamese market as well, approximately based on the Taiwan CFR rate. That's great. And sorry,
Yeah.
did you just mention South Korea as well? Is that also tied in with the price difference with Taiwan or?
Yeah, is the price difference is there, but it's normally not much larger, maybe about
Okay.
five or slightly around there.
Okay.
But Korea depend because their usage is more and they tend to buy bulk more because of their mills is much bigger. Because Taiwan side, those private owned mills are most of them are producing long products, whereas the flat products all belongs to the government steel mill.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And again, I don't want to take up ask all the questions, but this is super interesting to me. But please, guys, jump in. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. This is to me, this is quite an interesting breakthrough, honestly, because when we were trading with Taiwan, we didn't have a reliable hedging product for containerized scrap. That was just the risk that we took as traders. So to be able to sell that risk off, it'd be nice.
Yeah, I believe. You can see from last year the volatility of the market with $200 the difference between the highest and lowest point. I mean, in Taiwan, you can see that there's a lot of constructions being affected as well. So mills are faced with pressure. The prices have went up so much, and they have to fulfill contract as well. They are being put at a risk, which I can say that Taiwanese major mills express interest in this contract as well. So they are just getting prepared to come in. So it might be interesting in the near future when they are in and how this contract will evolve. And at the same time, they are actually quite well knowledgeable on the hedging side as well because of what they learned from iron ore market early on.
Okay. Very good. So I sort of point at a few people here. I just see a few people popping in, and some of them are just joining. But anybody here? I see John and Joseph, Norberto. Any of you guys? Are you guys dealing in HMS into Asian markets yourselves, or anybody that is? Please let me know who's trading into these markets. I'm curious to get your viewpoint and thoughts on this new futures contract or this new product. Got a quiet audience today. Yeah, this is really super informative. I had a question about one of the slides, and I have it here in front of me. Let me just pop it up real quick so I can ask instead of describing. Just for clarification, let me just pause the sound there. There we go. Just a real quick question. I'll jump over to whoever it was that just popped in. On this axis here, because I see you have, I'm assuming this is US dollars here on this axis for containerized scrap CFR, and then you have the annual price range in this axis here. What units are we talking about here, or what is this? Is this also it's not in dollars, right?
Yeah, hold on. Yes, I think it's in dollar. Yeah, it's in dollar. It's in dollar. Because as you can see, what I was emphasizing on this point is that from 2017 to 2019, which I mean, according to the market from buyers, right? Price fluctuate, containerized scrap fluctuate within $100 is quite common in the market, but this one is also quite a risk for the buyers and sellers as well because of the but in 2020, the fluctuation is about $247, if I'm not mistaken. That means from the lowest point to the highest point. So this is just indications to indicate to you. I mean, when market changes drastically, I mean, your risk is being exposed. I mean, it's so high for the risk itself. If you can able to hedge the risk away, I believe that a lot of unwanted factors of fear can be taken away as well.
Got it.
Hi, Terry.
Someone else had a question.
Hello.
Hi, Terry.
Hi there.
Hello.
Yeah, Abhay this side. And just I would like to emphasize on I do a lot of containerized HMS and it's like shredded cargo to Asian market.
Yes.
So what do you think? What are the prices shifting? This is like it is stabilized or still there could be a fluctuation in the market because sometimes Pakistan is giving better price than India. Sometimes Turkey is giving much better price. So there is a shift of even as far as I know, Bangladesh price is quite pretty good these days compared to India and Pakistan. And Turkey as well. So, what is your opinion about the containerized cargo?
Okay, I mean, if you're selling, quite a fair bit to Asia, right? As you know, South Asia, I mean, depending on their domestic steel prices, they are willing to pay at a different level according to what their requirement is. So, but traditionally, I would say that South Asia market tends to pay higher than the North and Southeast Asia market in terms of scrap prices, containerized. Like currently, right now, if you are looking at North Asia into Taiwan, prices are in the upward trend currently, and I mean, the reason why is because I would say is that they foresee that, I mean, China plays a part. Currently, China plays a part in this as well. Everybody thinks that most people thinks that I would say China will face some shortage in finished products, especially the long ones. Then why scrap prices in North Asia will move up currently? One of the factors is because of billet prices that China is buying. Yeah. So when Chinese started to buy the billet at high price, about let's say about more than $700, Shanghai can go up to about 750, 720 as well, CFR price. This and all these, some of the orders, they buy it from actually from Vietnamese mill. So Vietnamese mill will be able to purchase scrap at a higher price, and this will cause the sellers to actually increase their price because there's buyers that is willing to accept this level that they want. So in North Asia currently, this is one of the factors that's affecting the scrap prices.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Terry.
Thank you.
Hey Terry, this is Tarun.
Welcome.
I would like
Hi.
to ask you, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Terry, I want to ask you, is the Taiwanese market is influenced with the Chinese market when price goes up and down, or is it influenced by Vietnam market?
Okay, basically, it's a very North Asia. I mean, for Taiwanese market, they look at a lot of factors. They look at the turkey bulk prices as well. They look at currently affecting them is the billet prices that's going into China. The main reason on this is because if the Chinese buyers can buy billet at a high price and their order is placed with as we know, is from some Vietnamese mill. So this Vietnamese mill will be able to purchase scrap at a higher price. And when buyers can receive a higher price, they will push up their price and ask for more. So basically, if you are looking about, there's a lot of factors involving there. Sometimes they will look at Chinese domestic prices as well, which I think this for the last 1 day or 2 days, prices has been coming down for iron ore and the steel, physical and future market in China as well. This also affected some of their sentiment. But currently, currently there's also other factors because it's year end is approaching, festive season is coming. So annually, reasons will be used like scrap collection generating in US will start to slow down. But this year, currently, we are faced with logistic issue as well. Container price has raised higher than the bulk prices as well in terms of freight. So a lot of factors is evolving. So depending, the buyers in Taiwan actually look at everything as a whole. So basically, it's always the same market. Buyers will always try to find a reason to push down prices, whereas sellers will always look for reason to increase their price as well.
Thank you. And one more
Mm.
thing, how much
Yeah.
is the steel production in Taiwan?
Steel production, I'm
Like a
if
crude
you're
steel, I mean.
you mean what steel? Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Crude steel.
Crude steel, I mean, depending on you're looking at flat or long products because
Put together both.
the annual steel production, that one I have a record there. Maybe you can send me an email which I can actually send you the information after I go through it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
No problem, anytime.
Outstanding. This is really, like I said, very informative. Are there any other questions? Anybody else that'd like to jump in and pick Terry's brain while we have a few more minutes with him here? Terry, so this product launched in July, and how's volatility on it? I mean, honestly, it's been such a long time since I've even looked at dealing with with even looking at hedging and ferrous. When I was in the business, it wasn't really even practical at the time. It was only there were a few contracts at the time. So
Yeah.
how are things going now since July? Like, do you have a lot of big movement and volume behind it? What's maybe some pros and cons right now?
Okay, maybe I would say is that currently, the actual players is getting their most of them I've talked to. They said they will come to the market currently, but it's a bit slow on the of setting up the account.
Yeah.
So right now it takes more time for them to actually set up the account and some legal works within Taiwan as well, because Taiwan side they might not be I mean they have some legal issues in terms of hedging. The government will have to see the volume source before they actually approve to anything yet. But I mean Taiwanese mills are keen to actually hedge their risk away. So like we say, there might be some ways to go around it. That's why we're waiting for the actual players to come in, which I can assure that in a way that they have assured that they will be in once their account being sorted out on the exchange.
Right.
And I think market is waiting for all these players to come in like even the sellers of scrap. So once I mean the mills are able to enter the market, I believe that we can see a big change in terms of that.
Okay. Yeah, these things are always such a challenge to get them off the ground and get them going, right? You got to get lots of volume behind it, but there's no question that we need ways to protect ourselves from market volatility, without question. I mean, I think everybody in this room has lost their fair share of money being on the wrong side of a trade. I'd rather sell my risk off to the market any day, personally.
I mean, yeah, Taiwanese mills have gone through a lot years after years of all this uncertainty, and I think most of them, I mean, they have been in the business for long. So I mean, to them, it's taking unnecessary risk. I think most of them is looking for a stable kind of growth to keep the business going. Yeah, all these volatilities has put them in a lot of unfavorable kind of position before. So that's why a lot of them is looking to actually ways to hedge their risk away.